Hey everybody, this is another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. I apologize for all my stuff being on the floor in my house. I don't really have a great place to lay it out and do videos yet. As you can see, I have a few Mosin Nagants laid out on the floor. So again, I talked about pattern collecting certain guns, and this is going to be another video talking a little bit about that. You can see that the 9130 in the top of the frame here has a few modifications on it. Also, since the last video I did, I was able to pick up a spam can of mil-serp ammo. So that's pretty cool. So let's get started. So what is this top firearm that you see here? That is a 1942 reconditioned 9130. And this one is the one I've had the longest. You've seen it in a couple of my other videos. Basically what that one is, Re-Arsenal 9130, I actually made the bent bolt on it. It's a 5/16 hardened bolt. I cut it, bent it to the right angle I wanted, and welded the original ball from the bolt back onto it. I did some modifications to the scope mount on this. Previously I had one that basically you would take the sight leaf off and use that to mount the scope mount on the barrel. But I really didn't like the way that was set up. So as you can see, I've actually taken the sight base off of the receiver of the gun and bought a clamp-on Weaver style mount for that. And then on top of that, the scope, it's a 2-to-7 power, I think a UAG. Yep, UAG scope. 2-to-7 by 32. It's a long eye relief scope, so it works really well where it's mounted on the rifle. And then as we go down here to the front of the rifle, that is a Howling Raven muzzle brake for a Mosin Nagant. I've had that for a couple of years. I have shot it a few times on the rifle, and I really liked the way it performed. It does reduce the felt recoil quite a bit, so I put that back on. And as you can see here, I have a kind of stubby rail mounted, clamping directly onto the barrel with a bipod on it. So basically the inspiration behind this, I had wanted to do a sporterized Mosin Nagant for quite some time, but I really could never bring myself to cut up the barrel on it, shorten it, and put a Monte Carlo stock on it because I really like the way these look. And again, you either love Mosins or you hate them. I happen to love them, so I like the way it looked and I wanted to keep it pretty much original. So again, all the modifications I did to it, the mount for the scope, the front mount for the bipod, and the Howling Raven muzzle brake, all 100% reversible, so I can keep it in its factory form, take it back anytime I want to its original form. But I kind of like the way it looks, and while I have a Savage 25 in 223 that'll go out to 400 yards that I've proved, this is just kind of cool. I wanted to be able to take something in the 7.62 by 54R cartridge out to the range and be able to hit something at more than 100 yards or 150 yards. So that's why I built that one. In the middle here, this is actually a new acquisition. This one I picked up a few weeks ago from Cabela's. It is a when was it made? 1935 model, and it has a laminated stock, so it's actually in between the First and Second World Wars. I don't know if this gun ever saw action in World War II. It's not beat up at all. It's a matching numbers gun, and it's a low serial number. The odd thing about that is I asked a bunch of people if a low serial number Mosin Nagant was desirable, and they basically said that not really, because the Russians had a tendency to basically put their serial numbers all over the place. So one year they could start the beginning of the year with a high serial number, they could go to a low serial number in the middle of the year, and I guess that was to confuse the enemy as to how many rifles they were actually producing. But that gun, the bore in it is in perfect condition, so it looks like it's probably either never been fired, or if it was re-arsenaled, which I don't think it was, there's none of those marks on the stock, then it probably was never shot after it was re-arsenaled. But it is a true matching numbers gun as far as I can tell. The fonts on all the numbers look correct and everything, so that's my latest acquisition. And again, the laminate wood on it is just absolutely beautiful. I love the finish on these things. It does have a little bit of pitting. You can see on the bolt, there's a little bit of rust on the bolt, and there's a little bit of rust on the butt plate over here, but not a big deal to me. And then this one I have on the bottom, this is my M44 carbine. That's the second Mosin that I bought. That one is also a matching numbers rifle. All three of these are Izhvek or Izhsevsk. I don't really know how to pronounce the arsenal that they're made at. But all three of these are made at the same arsenal. This one, the M44, is a re-arsenaled gun. You can tell because it has that square on the stock, so at least the stock was from, it was re-arsenaled stock. So is this one on the one that I turned into a sniper rifle. But as you can see on the laminated stock, there's no re-arsenal tooling marks on it. So, like I said, it was a mid-war gun, so I don't know if it ever saw service at all anyway. But those are my three Mosin Nagants. And then I did pick up a Spam can the other day. These are hard to find in my area. Again, I'm in Massachusetts, so not a lot of this stuff comes up in Massachusetts for sale. I think there was a ban when Obama was in office that you couldn't have imported milsurp ammo, so it's hard to find. I found this at a shop in New Hampshire, and manufactured in 1975, and it is silver tipped, so that means it has a steel core in it. Again, they're not armor piercing, but they have a steel core because I think it was cheaper to manufacture. And I'm trying to think of a way to open the Spam can without wrecking the top. I kind of want to cut one of the sides open and then put a latch on it so I can actually reuse that for storage, either for cleaning supplies or something else. But I really like the way those cans look, so I don't want to ruin it. And again, where I can't find them very often, that's something I'd like to preserve. So just a little short update on my Mosin Nagants.